Hey designers, today I'll show you how to create this product list page using design systems. So first things first, I'm gonna be using Tailwind. So you'll be using the official Tailwind CSS styles to create the designs. Duplicate, so you would have it. This is not completely a design system because it actually lacks components, but this actually has all the building blocks that you would need. So let's take a look. You have some breakpoints, but what is important is it has colors, some spacing definitions. In Figma, you won't have any spacing that you could apply, but it's good to know that what you will be using in your design, because it should be within these sizes that are predefined, and also border radius or shadows. So let's do it. So you would have your styles there, but I think most of you would not have a library, right? So I think I could give you a good hack you could do is if you have this copy, just add a page to the file where the styles are. Then you could still use all of this stuff here, like the text styles, color styles, and effect styles. So let's just take this here. So it's a hacky way of using all the styles that you would need, but you don't need to actually go to assets and enable libraries, because I have a paid version, so I could enable one of the libraries I already have here. But I think most of you, when you first start learning, it would be a free version. So you could follow along with that. So now let's look at what you need to do. So I'll use my pen tool. So if you look at design, I see a few things that I could divide. So one is one asset from the iOS, that is the status bar here, and also the button here. So we could take that from another library. But if you look at the top portion, you have one navigation element here. You have the search result amount, and then you have the products. So this itself could be one component, and you could copy it out like so. And the last thing I see is the bottom nav bar. So that is one thing we could use. Now let's make another copy so it's easier to view. But anyhow, you see that there is parts that we would be building. So first thing, I'll just go from top to bottom without using the iOS components. So let me use one of my plugins, material design icons. I'm gonna get this arrow bar here, arrow. I'll just search arrow. I don't know why it's so slow, but I see this one. So it doesn't need to be exact, right? It just needs to be similar, that it just represents that you have in your design library. So I would use that and just copy what it said here, styles based on your preferences. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press command slash and then say I want this to be uppercase. So I could go uppercase. Now you have an uppercase text. This text, I could go now on, when I select it, go to text. You could style it yourself, but because I have the library hooked up here, that I can say it looks like maybe 16 pixels with a bold. So then you would have that, but okay, this time it is reset with the uppercase, so I go like that. Looks similar, right? So next thing I would do is add a border. Usually in your design library you would have a border already there, but I'll just create my own. So press R to make a rectangle, stretch it out. I won't size it because I wanted the height to be 1. And this box would be actually 375 by 812. So if I want a frame, I'll press F, then you have all the options. I think it's iPhone 11 375 by 812, so you got that. And I'll just say copy. So now you know the width of this element. So now let's go for, okay, I need a full width, so I would say 375 on the width. I know it's a 1 pixel height. Now I would just color it to maybe a gray that is not that dark, maybe a 200. Yeah, I think 200 seems right. So I'll be using 200 for this border. And then what I'll do is group them in a frame. But before that, I would put this here in a frame by pressing Command Option G. Now you have a frame. So maybe I could go with, how should I create this? So I know that it should not be left aligned. I could do it left aligned, but I know this should be center aligned, right? Okay, so with auto layout, I think I could achieve that. I'm gonna go back a bit. So I'm gonna do select that. I would not press this, but I always use my shortcut Shift A to make it an auto layout. Now, what I'm gonna do is attach this to the left side, right? So it would be always a fixed width, but this would take all of the space that is inside. So it would be fill container, though even though it would be smaller like so, it would still have the full width. But what I want actually is you would actually have different descriptions, right? It won't go left align, but it would be actually center align. You could press the center align like so, then you would say item, so it's now center aligned. Okay, so then what I want to do again is make this into, so the top frame, so back button, just group that together and then group this as one component again. So I'll press Shift A to make another component. So I'll just rename it top nav again. Okay, so maybe I would say that now this is left align. It should not go extend to that, but you could add some, extend this to a fill container. So now it's filled, but on the left and right, maybe I want some padding. So I'll do that. If you press this, it would apply all the paddings top and bottom uniformly, but I would say we would have 16, I think, and 16s. So it's not a random number I just put in, it's that you have you are using it from the system itself. So I know that 16 is maybe a base style that there is. So let's look at the spacing here. So if you look here, zoom in, so yeah, 16 is one of the styles that are applied within the system, so you could just use that. Let's go back to the project and then see that the top nav is there. And what else is missing? So I think everything's good. Maybe some responsive styling. Maybe for this project I won't apply it because yeah, you need some fine tuning. I would create this into a component like so. I press Command Option K and then I'll just leave this as is. So maybe I'll use it later on from different projects, that's why. But you see that now you have the styles applied here like so. Now let's add the correct text. Styles based on your preferences. Okay, so it looks a bit too big. Maybe it is not 16. Or let's go smaller. So I will go 14 bold. So now, and I need to do uppercase again. So yep, that seems right. One last thing I forgot is applying a font color. Let's align this to the middle, like so. But let's apply a style because you have no colors. You should always use some of the colors that are existing. I'm gonna use my main content style, not totally black. It could be 900 or 800. I'll go with 800. So 800 gray would be one of the styles there. I wouldn't add this to this component, but I'll just add it as little text, items found. Let's go to, well, I'll be defining this anyhow. It's, I think, very small. I wouldn't use 12 most of the time, but this looks like a 12 pixel font, so I will go with normal. So, and it's a light color, so I would say my light font color would be 500. So then you have that. I would now align them later on, but let's see. So how do I measure it? Press the option while you select something and hover over, then you have all the measurements, right? So that's done. And maybe I center line, it's already center aligned. I'm also align it here, so it's the same size there, left and right. Okay, next thing I'll be creating is a component for this one. Basically, you would have an, okay, let me break it down. So you would have an image, some text here, here, and description, and a heart. So how would I actually be doing that is, I'll just draw it out, that you would have the image, a description of the price, a heart, and that would be one thing, and then a description below, and a strike out of a discount. I won't be adding this one because it's a bit complicated. I just want to show you how the design system works here. So I'll just do that. So I just would create a rectangle that would be an image. I'll add the image later on. The sizing, it doesn't really matter right now. I would control it later on, but let's add the pricing here. So it's $37.99, 99, and it's left aligned. I'm gonna style these all together later on, and you have some lorem, which would be this bit long, right? So I'm gonna apply some lorem later when I have the exact sizing. I need to add, okay, material icon. I'll add the plugin again and look for, I think it's a favorite button, right? With a heart, fav. I'm gonna search, yes, I found one. So it will be a heart that I would be using. And then the last thing is the strike out of a discount. So RRP, and then it will go for $48.99. I'm gonna style these a bit later, but now let's do it. So the main price is the biggest, which is very important when you're buying stuff, right? So I'll go for, it looks like an 18 pixel. That is bold. So you would go font bold, 18, boom. Now that seems right. The description looks like 14 or 12, but I would go for 14. I don't want it too small, but I would use a normal font size. It looks a bit big. Maybe I need to go down. 12. Normal. Yes, that seems right. And then the heart, pretty much the same. This count before font or would be, okay, so I think it looks like 14 with a bold. So let's go 14, font bold. It needs to be smaller actually compared to that. So, okay, that seems right now. So the first thing I'll do is group these together, and would be the same that this would extend fully, and then the icon would be a fixed size. Shift A to make the auto layout. Now I'll just name it price. I use Command R to directly rename it, but I'll select this and say that this would be fill container. And I know why it's not extending, because there is some kind of sizing here. So the minimum size I would have for this would be maybe like 4. So if you see it, so you see it's pretty close, but it would almost never get that close, I guess. And the next thing is, okay, so I have that. I'll just group these together, but let's take a look at the design. If you see here that these are pretty much together, and then there's a little gap here. So actually would have two different groupings, one with the discounted price. Whoop, what happened? With the discounted price, select all that, Shift A to make an auto layout, but it would be pretty close, maybe 2 or 0. 2, I need to get a bit closer, I will go for 0. It's close, but because it has some line height, it gives you some spacing there. And also because of the font itself, it has some line height. And I'll press Shift A to go to one parent up, but I would center align, so you see the heart being center aligned. Next thing is I would name this price group, and you have the description, then select all that, then make it another auto layout. Now I would say maybe content for this, and then I see there's a lot of size here, so maybe I will go for maybe 8. I think 8 is enough just to give a division of, okay, the price and the description. Now I would style these a bit, so I know this would be a red color, so I will go down, maybe would be 500. I think that's strong enough. And the other colors, I don't need to select exactly these, but you could just go and select the whole thing, and you have the selection colors you could apply all together now. So I told you I would be using the main color for this, the title or fonts would be 800, so 800 is applied. For this one, if you see here, it's a secondary font color, so I would select this again. What did I use before? I used 500, so I'll go for 500. Now you have the content here, but I need to do some fine tuning. Let's remove this out. So I would say extend this to fill container. It goes, but it didn't move. What you need to do is go down one more layer. So I would need to make this box, I'll go one step up by pressing Shift Enter and say, okay, because it is fixed width, it didn't increase, so I'll say fill container. Also, same for this. It hugs content, I would say fill container. That would be a safer option. And the last thing is I would go for Command / and say strike. I don't memorize all the shortcuts. I just use that, type it in. That the ones I don't use that frequently, so that's good. So you have the strike. But what I'll do is hide it for now. So because I have auto layout applied, it just collapses as so. The last thing is that I would now combine this again with the image. I'll press Shift A to make it an auto layout, and I'll call this item, and maybe this as image. Okay, so let's look at the spacing from top to bottom, it's 18. That's not what I want. Maybe I would say it's around 24 or so. Yes, see, there's a pretty big spacing here, right? Okay, maybe that's a bit too much. I'll go down a bit. That would be 16. Okay, that seems right. Now, what you need to do is make this image not fixed width, because the width will be actually be changing. I'll say fill container and leave the height as so. Yeah. Okay, now I'll create this as a component. Before just making it into using these, I would say select the image. I use command click to actually select the layer here, the rectangle, which would be an image. I'm gonna start another plugin called Unsplash. Boom. Now I would search for fashion because this is a rated fashion, and then click on this one. Then it'll apply. Because I have it selected and I clicked on the image, it would just pop that in. So for now, I'll just place them. So this is ready to get placed inside here. So you have 2 columns and a few rows. So I'll be representing that, put add there like so. And another one by option clicking and dragging, you have a duplicate. I'm gonna say that now let's look back into the design we're copying. So you have, I think it's 16 pixels here, 16 pixels here, 16 pixels here. You could actually have a big box that extends to the end like so, but I think I'll just create a component is just like that and worry about the outer paddings with something else. Okay, so I'm going to group this together, Shift A to make an auto layout. Now what I would like to do is extend it to the right width. So I know that this width is 375, right? And know that the left and right paddings would be 16 and 16. So what I'll do is say this would be not hug but a fixed width. I'll type in 375 and take out 16 pixels and 16 pixels. So then just press enter, then it'll just apply that. So the outer container have changed, right? But something inside didn't. So what I need to do is change the auto layout. I want the gap to be 16. So it did that. And another thing is select each item. It says hug contents, but I want it to make fill container. So now it's extended. What I just need to do is center align that. Now this has 16, 16, and inside here is 16. Something didn't work well, that I see that the heart should be extended. Also the description. I think I know what happened here. So let's check out the content box. It says hug contents, right? Let's see what happens when you change that. I'll position this a bit better. So I'll say fill container. Boom, it worked. Also for, no, I need to go in here. It also is fixed width, fill container, extend that, then it is extended. So let's put a better lorem description. I think because it's not ideal, but still putting a lorem is fine. I have another plugin called lorem ipsum. It would generate 5 sentences or use the already existing text and auto generate as so. So it won't change the width or height that much. So let's do that. Okay, done a perfect job there. Now that is fine. So now what I need to do, again, you have multiple rows of that. So I'll just rename this as a row. Should I create it as a component? Yeah, maybe. Because I know I'll be using this a lot. Maybe I would make some changes later on. So I'll just make them into components and just copy, drag and copy paste like so. And then what I do is group them again. So now you have the spacing. So it's vertical spacing. I would have 16. I think 16 looks fine. Maybe a bit more to give a bit of separation here. So you have that, and I'll name this into a stack. And I see what happened is that it kind of went out of the copy frame. So I'll just extend that, choose that, press command to go in. Okay, it's not working. Go back out, in, boom. It is nested now. So no problem there. So I think most of it is done, right? So you have the pricing. To just take a quick look of it, the price is a bit too big, right? So I'll size down to 16 bold. Okay, let's see what happened here, which is the fixed height. I don't want that. I want hug contents. So it's reduced. See, it's now reduced. Now the last part would be the nav bar. Okay, I'm gonna construct all this later on together, but basically what you have here is, I think, a home button, a search button, a cart button, a favorite button, and maybe a profile button. So let's get all the icons that I need. Say material design icons as the plugin. I'll search for home. Let's see, home, and then a search. Let's look for a search. Yep, a search, and then a cart. I'll just pick this one, and then a fav. Okay, we already have the fav button, but I'll just add it again. Fav again here, and then a profile or avatar, person. This is good enough, I think. So outside, so I'll just show you. I'm gonna create a box that has all the icons that I need, and it'll just align them in the middle using auto layout. So I'll group them all together, remove the layout. I'm gonna group this like so. Shift A to make it into auto layout. Now I would not use the spacing, but there's another option. If you click on the alignment, it says packed but space between. So what it does is use the width and distribute the spacing all together automatically, so you have all the same width. So here, and then what other thing I need to do is make the outer box, right? So I know that it would be a frame that has 375 of width. So I'll just place that. But if you see here closely, let me zoom in, there's a little border here. So I'll add that border. I could just copy this little thing and add it here, align it to the top using Option W. Now you have that on top, right? See that little border there? And then I would space it like, okay, maybe I use an auto layout again. So I'm gonna do an auto layout. I'll just add it from here. I'm gonna say it's center aligned, it's top aligned, and then I just need to add the spacing here. I want it to be maybe 16, and I need to add a bit more space below. So I will go to the padding and add 16 is added. And then from here, maybe it's a bit too big, or let me say I want to extend it until it's around, well, the same as this one, but I'll add a padding inside. So I would go again, do the calculation. 375 minus 16 and 16 is 32. Boom, you have it. I'll center this now. Oh, okay, it's already centered, right? But add a little padding on the outer box here. So I go buttons and name this to a nav, and not just nav, but bottom nav. You got that done. So let's see. I'll add a little padding on, maybe not that big. I just wanted to have a bit more space for having to click, because it's on the edge, it's sometimes hard to click on. So that's why I did that. I'll say Command Option K to make it into a component. Now this is ready. I'll just place it by dragging, holding Option, then it's added here. Remember the original size of this box, I would go for 812. So I'll just punch that in. 1812. Now it's done. I'll just place this in the bottom, and then I just need to get the spacing right. Now the last thing I need to do is get this nav portion here. There are also a lot of things in the community. You just need to go to the community and look for iOS 15. Then there should be not the status bar, but a UI kit from Joey Banks. I'll just duplicate that because I know it exists there. And go to the, let's look for that top portion. Okay, so I'll use this one. I'll just grab it really quick, copy that, bring it to my design, copy it inside. I don't want this little thing showing, so I deleted that. It's added there. Now the bottom button, let's look for that. Okay, I see it here. Maybe there is a white version. Okay, it's a dark light version because my UI is light, right? So now I'll just copy paste that, add it in, it's there. Okay, so what I need to do here is, because it's transparent, I'll just add a little fill. Oh, it's already there. But I'll use white because I'm using a library to do so. I'll align that to the bottom, align that so, and then you have that, it's out there, and then it would have some spacing here, right? So let's check the spacing. It doesn't show me correctly, so I want it to be 0. It's pretty close. The spacing from here to here, maybe I want it to be 16. Go down. I'll use the arrow key. Go down 16. Now that's ready. So now you have the designs. Let me compare it like so. So you have the nav on top, 941. I see that I maybe need some padding on top, so I'll just do that really easily. Go to that. That's why you should have components built. When you're actually wireframing or just doing a lot of fast concept, you shouldn't not have that many components. But if you know what you're building for, you should always have components so you could change them really easily. I'll just add some padding. It looks, I had 16 right below, so I'll just add that 2 there. So you have that. Now I need to manually change all these values, so I don't like that. I'll now group them, Shift A, auto layout, it's left align, I center align and want the spacing to be 16. Then if I add more stuff, so just an example, like add that, it just pushes stuff down, would be pretty easy to do. Okay, last thing, a bit of polishing. So you could actually change all the images that by clicking on Command and Shift, Command Shift, Command Shift, Command Shift. So I have all the images selected. I'm gonna run the Unsplash plugin, look for fashion, and then I'm gonna press right click to select multiple. So I like this one. So see that? This one selected, this one. Right click at first, and then you just need to click left click. So I press this one. So I have 4 images. I'll insert that. So I click on insert 4 images. Boom, it's done. So I wouldn't cover more things, but it can be better if you have actual data. You could use other plugins to change all these values, but you have learned a lot of things from just copying, right? So I think I forgot one thing, is styling this bottom nav. Okay, let's do that. So it's pretty easy. Just select these, and I had the color for the secondary, which was the gray 500, and this is, I think, black, but you should use not black, but I use 800 as my primary. So now you have the buttons, but you see that the difference between the main color and the grayed out ones are not that strong. Now I need to go back, or I don't need to select all of it. I just need to select the whole thing. Then in the bottom, you would have all the selections here. So I know this is for the border. This is for the selected button. 400 is 500 was a bit too strong, so maybe I would go down for 300. Okay, so it looks a bit too invisible, so maybe 400 would be right. So now I think it's just right that it's showing enough, but yeah, it's clear that it's an unselected button. Now it's not pixel perfect or an exact copy, but you get the idea, right? So you could use design libraries, design systems that you have to use all the colors or fonts that is predefined, and make your design choices really quick. And it would be easier to change stuff later on, right? Yep, this is the end, and hope you have enjoyed this. If you like this kind of content, please let me know, or have any questions, add it into the comment section, and see you next time. Bye.